What's up, guys? Yonder Neko here, and we are reacting to Shadow vs. Ryuko today. Now, every fan of Death Battle has that one or two as a handful of episodes, really, that they've watched once and never again. Be it because their preferred character lost, that's usually the case, or because it was just a bad or forgettable episode, or some third reason like a super miserable waiting period. And Shadow vs. Ryuko really highlights that last one. And the reason the waiting period sucked, hold on, just making sure I'm good, just making sure that everything's tracking. The reason the wait period sucked was because no one tried to hide the fact that this was a shadow feed. Now, you're gonna need some background to fully understand that, right? No, that's loud. Okay, so, what you need to understand is Shadow appeared on the show 2 times before this. Vegeta vs. Shadow and Mewtwo vs. Shadow, both of which he lost. Now, Vegeta vs. Shadow was a Season 1 episode. And even though most people understand that Season 1 was the prototype era of the show, and even the crew admits they were kind of BSing things at points, for whatever reason, people still get super fussy about Season 1 episodes. Now, Mewtwo vs. Shadow, a bit more reasonable because there was a lot of bad blood behind the scenes. Like, the animator left on bad terms, the Shadow VA was told to do a bad job, the thing wasn't even finished, and the episode was debatably long, and not like, oh, if you buy this real niche scaling chain, but like, wrong by their own numbers and logic. So for Shadow vs. Ryuko, all you heard was, oh, Shadow's getting justice this time, or, oh, Shadow's canonically seen kill the kill, he's gonna, like, game end his waifu. It's like, isn't that so funny? So that's it. All you heard was, the only reason this matchup existed was because it was a Shadow dub, and because he specifically beat up on Ryuko. That is it. So it was a matchup that existed because a specific character lost. And you know, it's which just rubs me the wrong way. And it's one thing if it's like a Saitama L or a Gojo L, or just an overrated character where you kind of want to put them against a hard counter, humble the fans, but like a Ryuko L? What'd she ever do to y'all? You know, it's... So I'm gonna revisit this episode and see if it was actually, like, that bad. Because, yeah, no, this was probably the first... No, like, sure they've done feeds before it, like Deadpool vs. The Mask, which was intentionally made to, like, make fun of these sort of spied episodes, but no, like, the fans made this episode miserable, and we're just gonna skip the intro. Alright, now let's rewatch to see if it really was that bad.
Shadow the Hedgehog, powerhouse of chaos and rival to Sonic. And Ryuko Matoi, the teen fighter in life fiber from Kill la Kill.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, like, it's one thing if it's a Demon Slayer case where the verse just doesn't scale that high, and you're mostly gonna get L's. But, like, Ryuko is, well, like, relatively strong, you know? She's not like a Galaxy Buster or anything, but it's, you know, it's not like there are some, like, streets here that gets, you know what I mean?
Maybe tryhard incarnate, but when the chips are down, who is the deadliest edgelord
Am I
of
still
them all?
tracking?
He's Wiz and I'm
Good.
Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Dr. Gerald Robotnik, grandfather to the Dr. Eggman we all know, had a problem. His granddaughter, Maria, was dying, succumbing to a
Womp womp.
neuroimmunity disease with no known cure.
But old Jerry had a plan. When the government contacted him to build the ultimate life form, he figured its DNA could cure Maria no problem. So he took the job, and by studying the infinite power of Chaos Emeralds, with some alien assistance, he made the one and only Shadow the Hedgehog. Wait, did the
I
government
will
commission
say
him, or was it Hot
Crack
Topic?
is actually
Better
pretty
question,
fire.
since when were hedgehogs ultimate disease-curing life forms? I mean, Gerald's prototype was a lizard, which sort of makes sense as certain reptiles have regenerative tissue, but then he went from this to a hedgehog. Okay?
Who cares if he's a lizard, hedgehog, squirrel, or whatever, Wiz? All that matters is he's super badass looking, super badass sounding, and is super powered by chaos. Literally.
Shadow's powers are directly tied to those of the
So
Miracle
he's
Gem's
just the
Chaos
Venom of
Emeralds.
the,
He can tap into their power for incredible
Sonic
feats,
boost,
similar
really.
to his Blue Blur rival. Likely for this very reason.
Which,
he
don't get
actually
me
possesses
wrong, I like the edgy, hero counterpart, you know, like, Venom's cool, but I don't know, it's like, let's be honest about what
many
he
of the
is.
same abilities as
He's
Sonic.
just
You know,
the
the guy
edgy
who's so
rival.
fast he can
to-
almost
to-
outrun a black hole.
Spin attacks, homing attacks, spin
I like
dashes,
edge
etc.
fluids.
But
Just-
unlike his blue buddy, Shadow's not afraid to get serious and bust out some
The thing
lead.
you have to understand is, I was an Xbox kid, so like the only Sonic game I played was 06. So
Hey Sonic, why use a spin attack when you've got a goddamn
Also, just
gun
never really
or a
cared about
sword
the
as big as you?
franchise.
Look at that thing!
He's used some of the same power-ups that Sonic's
But
picked
guns
up, like
is
heat
cool.
barriers
Using
and
guns is
magnetic
cool,
lightning
so-
shields. But he also has some unique gear all
we're
of his
using
own.
guns as
His
cool,
air
so you know.
shoes are way cooler than Sonic's sneakers. They can boost his speed to match Sonic's and also let him fly, kind of. He's even got some gear
I will
attached
say,
that
as a
lets him
kid
attack
though, I
at the
did
speed
want
of
his,
light.
However,
shoes.
all of these abilities and equipment are mere accessories to Shadow's
Because they're
true
basically
power,
heal
the
these,
might
but a
of
lot
chaos
cooler, you
itself. Even without an emerald on hand, Shadow can summon similar power, manifesting attacks like Black Tornado, Chaos Blast, or the deadly Chaos Spear.
But even though they totally
I used to
asked for
spam
Dr.
that
Jerry
all
to
the
make
time in
Shadow,
Sonic
the feds got
06.
spooked and tried to shut down the project. And that's when things went bad. Like, really bad.
Shadow was successfully sealed
Womp
away,
womp.
but in the crossfire, a life was lost. Maria.
Locked up and super pissed
Okay,
off,
where's the
Shadow had
entry
plenty of
and
time to
exit
work on his
route,
angsty
though?
poetry, and Jerry had time to give him fake memories and a need for revenge against all humanity. Wiz, you think we're ever gonna find a scientist who doesn't go totally bonkers?
I mean, what about me?
Okay.
Well, since Maria was Shadow's only
Now
girlfriend,
this is
revenge
all
seemed like a good
right,
idea,
I
which
guess.
was a serious problem
I
considering
don't know
just how
much
powerful
about
he
Sonic,
is.
so I'm
He can
assuming
teleport,
it's...
slow down, or even stop time, and even time traveled a bit. And just like any teenage boy, he's got some serious mood swings he doesn't like to talk about.
Which can actually affect his abilities. With negative
And
emotion, his
now
raw power
we're breaking
intensifies.
into the
With
ha-ha
positive emotion, he
edgelord
gains
phase
more
of the
control. But
episode.
when it comes down to it, the government may have been right to worry. Shadow possesses so much power, even he can't always control
Oh,
it.
dang,
Chaos
I'm not gonna
powers
lie,
are
I kinda
crazy.
forgot.
Sonic once used all
I forgot they used to have cutaways. Well, no. I'm so kind of just zonked out there. I
7 of the
didn't
Chaos
even
Emeralds to literally
realize,
rebuild the
oh,
Earth.
he was a
This is why
cutaway
Shadow
again.
wears inhibitor rings, which limit how much chaos energy he can release
Which,
at
you know, I'm
once.
happy
when
the
he
cutaways
does
are
remove them,
gone,
what he
because they
loses in
used to be
control is made up
more
for by a
good,
massive
but-
increase in power, enough to match that of a whole Chaos Emerald. What are you looking at?
Is that do you have a ring on your robot arm?
It was a gift?
Cool. Well, good luck with that. All the rings I've given out to people always get sent back eventually. Anyway,
Oh,
Spiky
well.
Head's so powerful, he
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we already knew Wiz was married by this point. Like, kind of just a non sequitur cutaway.
Teleported an entire space colony and even a giant asteroid. Plus, he's held back this huge space plant monster.
And of course, tapping into the power of additional Chaos Emeralds increases his power to unbelievable heights.
By doing a tango with all 7, he can turn into Super Shadow. Now, without power rings, this form can't stick around for more than a full minute. But while he's golden, he's got super enhanced abilities, is basically
He's a
invulnerable,
Super Saiyan
and he
ripoff.
can fly.
Base Shadows not only survived being shot out of a cannon, but he's just as tough as Sonic, who survived the space station Death Egg exploding right in front of him. Most impressively, as Super Shadow, he and Supersonic were fired into planet Aquarius, obliterating it. This would take over a whole exaton of TNT.
Yeah,
So you
that's...
explain. All this happened because after 50 years of Shadow being trapped, Eggman himself released him to conquer the world. Sonic and crew had to stop him from destroying all
Like,
mankind.
so light speed and planetary, give or take.
But really, he's so fast he'd wreck anyone's shit before they'd notice.
Shadow has dodged gunfire and destroyed enemies without being seen, but his light speed attacks are
Like,
seen
you're
as
gonna
being
see
exactly that,
how much of a
light
feed this
speed.
is when
Almost
they get
3
to
million meters per second.
Ryuko's
So Shadow's
part of
super
the
strong and
analysis.
super fast. Makes sense he's a formidable enemy
And
to
the
just about
conclusion.
anyone.
Lucky for our heroes, they inspired Shadow to regain his memories of Maria, who actually wanted him to protect humanity instead of, destroy it.
He may have softened
That
up,
kind of
but
lie,
he'll
these
always be
episodes
the
feel a
edgy
lot
hedgehog we
longer when
love to hate
filming
to
them and
love.
have to comment.
Understood.
Like, watching them
Initiate
casually, it's
now.
like a blur, but
Thousands of years ago, aliens that would come to be known as life fibers crashed to Earth. These parasites attached themselves to the most intelligent species they could find.
Monkey.
Humans.
And they even got humans to make them into clothes so it was easier for them to live on us. And provide viewers with gratuitous fan service.
gratuitous, you say? I knew Boomstick was a tourist.
Anyway, the life fibers helped humans evolve more
Fan
quickly and
service is
soon just
goated.
passively
If you're
survive as humanity
anti-fan
developed.
service,
But some weren't
I
content with
can't
such
even
passivity,
talk to
like
you.
Ryuko Kirui, who had access to the original primordial life fiber that landed on Earth so long ago.
And humans are gonna human, so she and her husband experimented on that sucker like nobody's business.
They attempted to infuse fibers into both of their daughters. Their first daughter was too old for the experiment to be a success, and it appeared that their infant second daughter was also a failure, so Ryuko just threw her away.
Whoa, she
Nice.
threw away her baby? Kinda reminds me of how my dad just threw away our relationship.
Oh boy.
Well,
Oh
fortunately
yeah,
for
wasn't
this
that a thing with like season 8? All the Boomstick dad jokes that like bombed.
child, her father couldn't stand by Ryuko's decision and rescued her, assuming the name Ishin Matoi, and raised this daughter himself. This is Ryuko.
Yeah, things were okay for a while, but it wasn't a picnic at the Matoi
Self-taught
household.
and certified in the Q. See?
Ryuko and Ishin didn't always get along, so he shipped her off to boarding school to find other people there instead of him. When she finally came home, she found dear old dad bleeding out, impaled by a weird-looking sword.
This was the first half of what would become her signature weapon, the Scissor Blades. In Ishin's last
Nice.
moments, he urged Ryuko to find whoever wielded the other half of the weapon, the one who killed him.
Ryuko might not have known it, but the scissor blades were created by her father out of life fibers.
They're actually one of the only weapons that can cut and destroy life fibers, which is important when your opponents are all using, life fibers.
I would say we
So it's
take a
kind
shot
of like anti-magic with us.
every time we say life fiber, but you definitely die, Wiz. And do not try that at home. Anyway, with the quest of revenge and half a scissor blade, she started hunting down her father's killer. But she couldn't do it by herself, so she found a skimpy sailor suit to help her out. Yeah, here's that
Nice.
fan service thing I was telling you about.
This is Senketsu.
The based fan service,
A
you
living
mean?
suit made from life fibers, also known as a kamui. Now, there's plenty of clothing out there made with some life fiber, but a kamui like Senketsu is unique in that it's made of 100% life fiber. And yes, I said living suit.
Wait,
Yeah, sure hope they don't screw up their in the series character dynamic in the animation.
these assassins can't hear me.
Oh, that feels nice.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Not just anyone can wear Senketsu, as they have to successfully bond with him for the process to work. Lucky for Ryuko, she absolutely could, in no small part thanks to the
And
life
unlocked a
fibers infused
magical
within her
gold
body when she
transformation.
was an infant.
See, Mom, you trash person, it did work. And when she and Senketsu learned how to work together, there wasn't much that could stand in their way. He's more than just a sailor outfit.
As a life fiber construct, Senketsu can absorb other life fibers to increase his own power, allowing him to transform to gain new abilities.
His Senjin form makes him super spiky, and his Shifu form turns Ryuko into a badass fighting rocket.
He's also able to combine both the Senjin and
Global
Shifu
Finito
forms
bit.
for more versatility. Admittedly though, each of these transformations comes at a cost for Ryuko as they're fueled by Senketsu consuming her blood.
Oh gosh. This is about to get really weird.
This is most dangerous in his Berserker form that occurs when Ryuko gets too upset and Senketsu loses control. If not stopped in time, she could die from too much blood loss.
But most impressive is when Ryuko straight up goes flying Super Saiyan and Senketsu turns into his Kisaragi form. It's way more powerful and uses even more of her blood. What's the deal? Is Senketsu a vampire?
Oh gosh. The one really weird part of the episode everyone remembers for all the wrong reasons.
Well, a popular theory suggests that it's all a metaphor for puberty.
Why
Senketsu pulling out Ryuko's blood is
are we
frustration,
doing this?
and the
Why are we
steepier
doing
outfits
this? Why are we
visualize
doing this?
acceptance
Why
of
are we doing
sexuality
this?
and
Why are we doing
adulthood.
this? Why are we
Except
doing this?
She's a teenager.
Why are we doing
who already
this?
went
Why are
through
we
puberty.
doing this?
Wiz,
Why are
do
we
you have a
doing
daughter?
this?
No.
I thought so. At least having life fiber DNA means she
Yeah.
has crazy abilities on top of Senketsu's transformations, like insane super fast healing.
Basically, life fibers restore themselves so quickly that Ryuko's body starts regenerating before a blade has finished cutting through her.
Nice.
Unless someone is quick enough to cut through her body before this regeneration
She's like
begins,
Dante.
she can survive almost anything.
She's been stabbed and sliced tons of times, including completely in half, and even had her heart ripped out of her chest. Can we get this chick as the next guest character in Mortal Kombat? I mean, they're taking basically anybody these days, so...
Her strength is incredible. At one point, she had to blast a hole through a layer of
See,
life
flew at Mach 3 500. That's still like thousands of times slower than light speed.
fibers surrounding the entire planet. Life fibers are stated to be harder than solid steel, so to pull this off, she must have struck with a force equivalent to over 650 exatons of TNT.
Which means she'd be able to take a hit that strong too. But with all these powers and more, Ryuko finally found her father's killer.
And completed the rending scissors.
These swords can casually cut through skyscrapers and have some super forms of their own. Decapitation mode
They put her at skyscraper level,
extends
bro.
the blades for better slicing and dicing, while alumni mode makes them so gigantic they eclipse the freaking Earth. What is this show?
Next to Ryuko, one scissor blade is
I hope they mean when leaning down, because that means she's like a midget,
normally
bro.
about 2.5 feet long. Scaling up, the alumni mode appears to be about 1,017 times larger, weighing well over 3 million tons. If you have a pair of normal scissors at home, imagine lifting 50 billion of those all at once. That's what this is like.
She can slice through 200 tennis balls 5 times each in less than a second, which us in the scientifically community call fast as f***.
Or 8,000 times faster than sound.
Still like 100 times slower than light speed, I'm pretty sure. Wait, no. Yeah, that's still like
And
100
she
times
rocketed
slower
into the
than light
atmosphere in less
speed.
than 18 seconds, which means her flying speed can reach Mach 500.
Wait. Why is everyone naked?
Ryuko may not have had the easiest upbringing, but after dedicating herself to revenge for so long, and yet saving the entire planet, she had become something unexpected.
A
hero.
hero? Well, called it.
Gonna slice your ass in half!
So vulgar, I like that. I
All right,
just like
maps are
Sailor
set. We've
too.
run the data through all possibilities.
But
Fitting
first,
for,
Shadow
my
and
team
Ryuko are
crew,
always
but-
ready to perform, and make sure you are with Blue Chew. This episode of Death
And-
Metal is sponsored by...
Yeah, we're just gonna skip the PP meds given the recent puberty thing they talked about. On to the fight.
Cut me off, asshat!
Who cares? Ryuko, maybe we should...
Oh, yeah?
Nah, I'm with Ryuko on this. Don't cut me off. Not gonna lie, the hand-drawn thing could be better. and immediately speed blitzed and swinging wildly. Like, Ryuko is just not portrayed well in this episode either.
Chaos control!
And more humiliation.
He's anticipating you. You should anticipate him instead.
No shit, stupid!
And the, like, only 5 hits she lands this episode, I'm pretty sure.
Let's get faster!
Okay, the gun thing is funny that he's just like, nah, sword.
Did your mommy pack that sword for you?
There's some decent displays of speed this episode. But I don't know. Like, I was always annoyed by how much speed of this episode came off as. Yeah, that's also pretty rough hand-drawn shot. And the rip-off thing was the reference to Vegeta's shadow. I will say, this is actually pretty enjoyable. More enjoyable than I remembered it being.
Sayonara, dipshit!
And the Sayonara dipshit's probably one of the only things I really remember from this episode.
Chaos blast.
And that's another thing I remembered. Season 8 was just the era of evaporation deaths. Like, in this one, I get it. That's the only way we really can kill Ryuko. But there were a lot of evaporation deaths in Season 8.
Hey-o! You know, we made fun of how little clothing Ryuko was wearing, but Shadow's been naked the whole time.
Armed with Senkets, her scissor blades, and her life fiber buffs, Ryuko was definitely a match for Shadow at first.
Yeah, with her awesome...
If we ignore they did the meme that this was a really close fight. They
Some
did
strength
the
combined
meme.
with her insane endurance, Space Form Shadow was in a lot of trouble. But even then, it wasn't a surefire win for the Rocket Chick.
Outside of
was
its super
hundreds
form,
of
Shadow
times
never
slower.
withstood anything on the scale of Ryuko's hole in the life fibers surrounding Earth. At her maximum power, she could have easily dealt a killing blow, if she could catch him. Shadow could keep up with Sonic the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
whose race against a black hole proves he can move over 260,000 times faster than sound. Far faster than anything Ryuko's shown, and more than quick enough to slice through a life fiber before it has time to heal.
Once the red and black Hedgehog turned red and gold, Ryuko didn't really have a way to take him down. I mean, Super Shadow's Chaos powers use all 7 Chaos Emeralds, which can move pieces of the Earth around.
Considering Earth's total mass and the
yeah.
speed at which each piece was moved, this would require exerting energy equivalent to 1.6 decillion joules, which translates to over 2,800 zetatons of TNT.
That's a ton of power. A lot more than Ryuko's biggest
Yeah.
hits. Even
In case they did not hide the fact this
one
was
Chaos
a feud.
Emerald is enough to match Ryuko's best. And considering Shadow can match the power of an emerald when he takes off those inhibitors, he had better odds of winning even without going super.
Ryuko put up an
Literally beats
amazing fight,
A
one for the
golden
ages,
days.
but Shadow's unmatched power and speed proved too
Well.
much for Our Lady in Black and Red.
Hey, he's pretty beat up about it too. Do you know what he said when he was asked what his favorite anime is?
I like the one with the edgy girl and the scissor blade.
It's canon. No, really.
In clothing.
Yeah, that right there is the whole reason this episode exists. To have Shadow kill his waifu. Well, yeah, I still think this was a feed, but don't hate it as much as I did back in the day. Still kind of like a 5 out of 10 though, you know, it's kind of like, it's nowhere near their best, but it's not offensively bad, you know? Like, so please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. If you like my commentary, that is.